Well, hello traders and investors. I'm L.A. Little and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets and we're doing it from a neoclassical perspective, and that's pretty much in a nutshell looking at supply and demand on the charts, looking for tests of significant areas defined by the neoclassical model, using that information to make wise decisions about where to invest. And I'm going to give you an example of that tonight. There's many of them, but there just happens to be another good one tonight, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes. I do the show 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday, broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time, archived on YouTube. It's under the channel L.A. Little, and if you want to subscribe, you just reach up in the right-hand corner, do so. Anytime I push public content, you'll get a notification. Let's look at the ending numbers first. We had an update. It wasn't a big day up, but you had an update today. Kind of a grinder, you know. They tried to push it down several times, but they couldn't. Each time they just kind of pushed it back up. I think if I were to note anything today of significance, it would be in the dollar. Look at the dollar right back. Remember yesterday down 1%. Today it's right back the other way. Dollar's in a long-term bull market. It's going to be very hard to throw this thing down on the floor and kick it. Right? It's just not going to happen, most likely. And as a result, when that dollar does find strength, you're going to see weakness coming into those metals, and it's trying again today. And the metals themselves were trying to sell down. Same thing with the bonds, and even oil taking a hit. So. Yesterday, if you remember, you had a flip around. You had the commodities trying to push higher. You had that divergence again in the gold markets. I talked about it one more time. You know, that's a tough trade if you're trying to trade it long. And I know there's a lot of people out there telling you to get long gold, but you're going to get your head handed to you most likely. I think maybe that gold trade is a little bit farther out. I don't think it's here. As far as the example I was going to give you, let's push over and I'll show you what I was talking about. And the only reason we talk about it after the fact is because we can't give you all these trades before the fact since they're in the portfolio at TA Today. We bought into Netflix. And we bought into Netflix for very specific reasons in terms of the way this thing looked on the charts, right? Supply and demand. And that supply and demand was telling us that this thing was getting ready to break higher. And, you know, tonight they report earnings, and indeed they do break higher. They're up about 10, 11 bucks after hours tonight, about 8% or so. You had a swing point high here, and you broke over it last week. You had a swing point high here. You broke over that one as well. You can see the breakouts. Yeah, you don't have much volume on those breakouts. That's why they're red. They're suspect. But this big push here, retrace continuation back up, set up an ABCD structure that was fairly large and actually is going to be met on the trade open tomorrow most likely. And I'm just going to draw it in for you. It's about like that. Goes up to about 144 or so. That's over these swing point highs. That's what that projection was. All this trade looked the same, saying, hey, this thing's going to try and push up. And it's not just on that time frame. It's on the daily. It's on the weekly. It's also on the monthly. You got the breakout taking place over the swing point high here too. That's at 133. We were at it tonight. We will be over it tomorrow. Folks, you know, I know that there's a lot of shysters out there, and there's a lot of folks that, you know, they tell you, oh, you can make money here, you can always make money on a trade, blah, blah, blah. And I know that, you know, people hate paying for information, but, you know, anytime you pay for an education, if you really, you know, get down and learn what it is you're going to get, or what you're paying for, and if there's any value in what's being offered, then you really get something out of it. And you're not going to get an education in trading unless you just want to give your money to the market over and over while you learn. If you really want to learn how the market works and you really want to use that knowledge to benefit yourself, then you really should join this community. We have focused specifically on education. Our education is unlike any other, right? You come in, we spend time with you right off the bat. Got a fellow join again tomorrow. I'm going to work with him tomorrow. It is a process that will educate you on how to take good trades. Entry is the key. Take good trades and make money off the majority of what you do. Consistent profits. I told members, here's another example. I told members back in December that middle of February we were going to see this market bog down just like it has. And we'll push over to the market next. And what I told them, and the reason I told them, is because of the MTTFs, the mean time to failures. These are neoclassical concepts that work over and over again. They don't work every time, nothing does, but they work most of the time. And those MTTFs were set up to try to change trend. And the number down here is the MTTF. When they get up to around 70-80%, and we can project how long that's going to take. You click on this and it will tell you. You can project when it's going to get extended and when this market is going to either pull back or go sideways. And so with these tools, you don't get caught up in this kind of a run and you keep buying up here and then find yourself selling down there. That's what so many people do. You have to know when to buy. You have to know when to ease your foot off the pedal. And the neoclassical model tells you how to do those things. And so, again, it's an education process. If you want to get educated, if you want to quit giving your money to the market, come over, check out the community. We have a 2-for-1 special. I can only take 4 more people near term because I can only handle 5 at a time. We already got 1 joined. It looks like another one may. If you're one of the first, you got to come out, you got to fill out an application, get started, fill out the application. If it looks like you're serious about it, then we'll take and spend the time and effort with you to get you started and get you on the ground with your feet solidly on the ground running. Again, I can't emphasize it enough. It happens over and over. And I keep telling folks there is a way to beat the markets. There's a way to time the markets. I don't care what people say. There really is. Here we are on the NDX. NDX wants to come back, wants to test. I don't think that tested, if I remember right. Let's make sure. 4995, and that was 4992. So no, we haven't tested yet. Now this one actually is becoming extended, 68.9. This one needs to reset as well, but as you know right now, the NDX is the one that's holding up the best. What could change that? What could give us a reset? And how do you get a reset? This will print as a swing point low if you get 3 more bars up here. So in other words, by the time we come into earnings on all the big cap stocks, we could have a swing point low sitting right here. And then all we got to do is trade back into this swing point high. Probability is going to be extremely high. That's going to be bought. And you get your reset all at the same time. There is a method to the madness, folks. Russell got its reset yesterday. Here's your reset. You get a little under over today, not a big deal, still range trading, but this has done what it needs to. In other words, it has flipped around transition trend. Now it's 3% bearish. People could view that negatively, but it depends on the context of where you are. This is not a negative market, right? A lot of people worrying about this thing rolling over, and yeah, it could roll over deeper. It could get back down into here. That's where the next support zone is. But right now, that's not what the market's telling us. We've got to give it a couple more days. There's certain things that we want to be watching, and I'll give you an example. Here's a swing point low that was broken. Today, we get the immediate retest regenerate. That's exactly what you want to see if you're bullish, right? That's a positive. So you come right back into it. If you do that, you're going to probably get into the top third of that, which means you're going to trade back into there. You got a little under over. I expect it's going to trade back into there probably tomorrow. That's how I make these calls. I don't just like pull them out of the air. You see me do it time and time again. It's not, it's not rocket science. It's a model. It's a model I built. It's a model I know inside out. It's a model that's been in practice for 10 years. It's a model that took me to 2008 without losing money. I actually made 6%. It keeps you out of trouble, keeps you on the winning side. That's what your model ought to do for you. There's some others that are extended, wanting to reset. XLY is one of them. Again, if you get another 3 bars up here without any kind of retrace, you're going to get a swing point low. You're going to get it right there. You don't have to come very deep to get your resets then. I like the way these things are shaping up. XLK is another one that's it's not quite extended, but it's starting to get there. This one would you could also use a reset. We don't have many more. There's a few more. We've gotten resets on a number of them, about a half of what we need. There's XLB is another one that needs to reset. These are all pushing MTTFs that are high, 78 on this one. They're going to get resets. They always do. That's the way it works. What else we got? Gold, silver, we've talked about a little bit. There's really not much more to talk about there. I don't think there was any important there. Let's go to the dollar. I was talking about the currencies. The dollar flipped around. Remember last night we looked at it. Didn't look like it had the follow through. A little doji down there at the bottom, no volume. We talked about that. Today you get the spike back the other way. What I really wanted to see, and the one that gave us the clue last night, was the FXE. And the FXE, yeah, it trades back into the big bar. Yeah, so it looks to me like the test is coming here. So, one of the things you have to do with Neoclassical is you have to figure out where your test is. This is your immediate test here, this bar. And so what we really want to see is how do they trade it when they get to that bar. And then you've got this big bar over here that's got a big wide price spread, and where is it? Right up underneath there. And so that becomes a key area, 102.97. That's where we want to watch it. We want to see how it attacks that area. If it gets in there tomorrow and it just gets back deep into it, then all you had was a bounce and nothing more. That's the sort of information that you can then use to go do whatever else you're trying to trade, if you're not trading these things in particular, because they do move other things. If the dollar's stronger, some other things get weaker. I mean, their relationships, they're not that complicated, and they're relationships that you can exploit. Let's quickly look at that gold and that GDX one more time. I know there's a lot of folks that are always interested in this. This is a very muddled trade. I was talking with the mentors this morning. I meet with the mentors each day. We go over the portfolio. We go over a lot of things. They continue to learn as they help me manage things. 3 black crows, that was pointed out to me again this morning. And I've talked about this with the mentors before. For some reason, when you get the 3 black crows, these things like to try to crawl all the way back to the top before they spectacularly fail, right? And they usually try to crawl it back almost up into there. This actually has a pretty strong ABCD structure. I think the real key here is not this, though. I think the key is over there in that dollar and what the dollar does. You've got a little range trade, and a lot of people are saying buy gold here, but I've been saying for a while I think this gold trade's a dangerous one to the bullish side, and that people are going to get in trouble as a result of trying to trade it that way. And the reason I say that, I'll pull over the monthly and show you, this trend was down. Now, the good part about this, right, is you got over a bearish retest region right here. Now, when you got over that, you got over it, you stayed over it, you came back into it, you tested into it, now you get your bounce. Usually, a deep-rooted trend like this, you're going to have a lot of people that are underwater. All these people that bought here, of course, everybody that bought up there, which goes back 2 years plus, are all underwater. And so when you get this rise, they want to sell. And right now, the speculation is that this thing is put in a bottom, it's going to run higher. But usually they don't make it that simple, folks. They usually come back down here, they test again, and then they kind of blow out the last set of people that tried to catch the early turn, and then everybody gives up, and then you take off, right? That's the way it works, right? Isn't that the way it works with you? It's like when you think it's perfect timing, you get in there. The thing is that this has started to turn, but it takes time, and you got to be patient. You got your swing point high breaks, you got a deep retrace, now you have a bounce. Consider this possibility. What if this thing bounces, goes back up into here, about where it is, let's say GDX, and then comes back down deep again? Do you think anybody's going to want to buy it down there? No. Do you think that's going to be the buy? Yeah, that's probably going to be the buy if it sets up that way. If you look at the daily charts, the daily charts are not set up yet, and neither are the monthlies. And I'll show you another clue here on the on the weekly. If you look on the weeklies, this is your bearish retest regenerate. So in other words, you're coming back up after breaking down here. Right? So you had a nice big run, now you have a big deep pullback, now you're bouncing. If you can't get over this and stay over it, this thing is going to take another move down. If you can't take it up, you're going to take it down. It's the way it works. And so, yeah, it's not clear that it's going to fail, but, where's your trend? Your trend is down. I wouldn't get too excited here with a bounce until it proves that it's more than a bounce. If that's true, I'll switch over and join you. But right now it's not true, and so I wouldn't get too excited about this stuff. I think the trade here is going to come up later in the year, 2 or 3 months from now, not now. All right, I'm going to leave it at that tonight. There was the Netflix trade. I'll show you another one. It's actually kind of interesting because not only did we trade, Netflix long and got the nice big gains after hours tonight, and we'll be selling when other people are trying to buy probably, but we also avoid losses. And another one that reported tonight was KMI. We made some decent money on KMI and actually on some of the other oil pipelines. This one, however, hasn't been behaving correctly. We left this name. It was in our portfolio for a while. We made some money on it, but then we left it. They traded down, nothing big. They traded down 2 or 3% tonight. But if you pull these over and you look at them, these things are stuck in a range trade. And for now, they're just stuck, and they can't get higher. And you're going to get a 2-3% pullback tomorrow. You'll want to watch, if you're in this name, you're going to want to watch your range here, right? That range is in this area. If you trade up underneath this range, now you're going to come back into the swing point highs again, which is your bullish retest regenerates. Those are going to be the key ones. If it can come back in here and it can hold, right, then you can think upside again. But the key is this area right here as you come back. Do you get back into it? And I believe these had already been tested, 1940. No, actually it hasn't, 1940. So this is actually, now that I look at it with you, this is actually going to be a good buy area off these earnings potentially. So tomorrow, look at this. If this trades back into here, probabilities are very high. You'll get at least a bounce back out of here. So watch how it trades. The ideal case tomorrow, trade to about 20, stay there, at worst. And then over the next week or two, drift back down into here with light volume on the test. That's your buy. That would be the ideal buy setup if it were to set up that way. Have yourself a great one. I'll see you tomorrow night. Take care. And next time, good night.